So, as you can tell from the intro, I was granted my first opportunity to shoot my first concert featuring Lupe Fiasco. Before I get into any of that, I actually want to talk about something about my first experiences shooting drifting. And I know drifting, the is not exactly the same as lyrical deliveries. It was really hard to get a media pass back in the day because I didn't have any notoriety or following or audience. Wait. So previous Alex couldn't really explain it very well, and I'm gonna make this really fast. I requested for a media pass at UC Theater for the first time about a few years ago for a different artist. I didn't get accepted. I tried to get a media pass for Lupe Fiasco maybe a year and a half ago, and that didn't get accepted as well. So it kind of put me in the dumps and didn't really make me feel like I was making any progress, because you know, you had increments and like times that you got accepted. And yeah, I'll go ahead and let Alex explain the rest, but what ended up happening is I got my media pass to, you know, go ahead and shoot this concert for the first time. So hopefully Alex will be able to finish this out. Even though I was making really small increments in like my progress of becoming like a photographer, or my skill set in general, I know it's really easy to forget that like any progress is like better than none, because sometimes you take 2 steps back to take 4 steps forward. This year in particular, I felt like I finally realized how far my creative abilities have came. Now that portion's over, there are 3 things I look into a lens for me to feel like I really got all of it. I get to check off all the checkings of the check marks. Autofocus, image quality, and usability. So the first lens is the 50mm full frame lens. It's a 1.8 aperture. On the A6500, it is about a 85mm. As you can see here, it's super light lens. I mean, I used to throw this on my A7S a lot of times and worked out perfectly fine. Now, the autofocus isn't the fastest on here. If you're not shooting any super crazy sports or anything, it would hunt around in more contrasty scenarios, but that's to be given in a concert environment. Image quality is pretty good. You can tell by, you can judge for yourself in the photos that I'm demonstrating right now, or just have up while I'm talking. This is about equivalent to the Canon's Nifty 50, just about. So this, you can consider this the Sony's Nifty 50. Now lens number 2 that I used the most was my 18-105, which I'm shooting on right now. Go ahead and start with the cons first. The f4 aperture obviously struggles in low light. It is a power zoom, so when I was close up in the pit, say if my subject would go really far away and then suddenly come really close, I would have to like just wait for the zoom to come back so I can get it back to the 18mm. It's pretty light for what it is. You have the range between 18 and 105 is far more than just being in the pit, but I use it in the pit mainly because 18mm unfortunately at the time was the widest lens I had on me. It would actually get eye autofocus in some cases if I was close enough. Tracking was just fine if the light was there. The image quality that comes out of this lens is more than exceptional. Third lens I used was not a native lens. It was a Sigma Art 50-100 for the Canon mount. I used the Sigma MC11 adapter to go ahead and put it on my Sony camera. It is probably the heaviest lens I've dealt with. I mainly use that lens when I was outside of the pit, so I can get, you know, I can zoom in on who I'm trying to get a picture of, or if say I have him and the crowd, I want to focus more on them, or vice versa, I want to get the crowd and him in the picture if he's interacting with them. I was able to shoot at a lot lower ISO, so I got to keep a lot of the noise out of my images. And then, so I got a picture of Rob Young while he was performing, and you can see all the details on his face, which blew me away, especially using the lenses I had. Now, they are sharp in their own regard, but this lens was on a whole nother level. In any other case, the autofocus would be perfectly fine, especially in daylight and stuff, but in this concert situation with the low light and contrasty areas and flickering lights, it just could not pull focus. It sometimes, even in some cases where I would have to press the shutter button a few times for it to like take steps to focus. It got the job done. I mean, the images that I got from it were really sharp. Outside, outdoors, portraits, good lens to go with, but it is heavy, just remember that. So the whole experience trying to shoot as a fan and, you know, trying to be a photographer at the same time was really interesting because, I mean, what can I say? Like, when my song comes on, I can't control that, so I was sitting there behind the lens like screaming the lyrics, and there's a point like where me and him were like kind of like reciting the lyrics to each other. I was like, this is intense, this is really crazy. I can't believe this is happening. But I was really grateful to like be granted this opportunity, have like this whole like failure to not even failure, just to have the like to finally feel like I made progress. And like, yeah, the first time you saw my portfolio it probably sucked, but now it doesn't. So yeah, I don't shout out to everybody. Or who am I shouting out? Why am I shouting out? If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. Please like, subscribe. It is Christmas Eve today, so Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate it. Happy holidays. Peace. Much love to you. We see you guys in the next one. So as you can tell, this is probably just a little bit time after. Do not try to explain anything after you're pretty much on a dopamine high from the concert from one of your favorite artists. Just don't do it. Anyway, so what I was trying to explain is